Oh yes, legends, how's everybody doing? Let's analyze the situation here all together for the price of Bitcoin, see what's going on here on the charts. Make sure to absolutely destroy that like button on your way in. My goodness, let's keep the music down still, guys. It is not Friday yet. Let's analyze the situation here all together and see what is going on basically in the internal zone here that we do have to the upside. That's what we are going to be discussing today, legends, okay? So make sure to smash up that like button on your way in. And I'm going to be going through the comment section right away, guys, okay? We're going to turn that music down because, holy moly, it is still Thursday. No, you know, we can get excited for tomorrow, but it is Thursday still, legends. Let's go right away through the comment section. First of all, say hello to the beautiful community. Then we'll be discussing the major levels and possibilities, looking at a little bit of Elliott Wave theory, considering the most important levels of resistance and support. We'll be taking a look at Ethereum later on because Ethereum is looking still pretty interesting for a leg down, if I'm honest with you. This is why I do remain with 40% still of my trade on the short position from the swing failure pattern. There is a chance to come down to the low 4K levels, maybe even below 4K. But it is bullish, okay? We are in a bullish market. I do expect Ethereum to hit all-time high eventually in the next coming weeks, if not days, guys, okay? So we'll be discussing a little bit of Ethereum later on, okay? Nothing on the chart, very clean. We'll be building up the levels and scenarios and different possibilities. Let me know in the comment section if anybody jumped into a long setup just a couple of days ago on that previous week low. Nice little swing to the upside of a few $1,000s. I mean, price action is very boring, guys, and let's not lie. We did get a nice little pump to it today, early this morning. However, we bounced beautifully at that previous week low, guys. What an absolutely technical trade right over here. We'll be discussing here the different scenarios because there's two scenarios mainly in this zone. It's either extremely bullish and we pop out, or it's a corrective structure and we are looking for a little bit of dumpy back down to the 110K zone, okay? So make sure to stay tuned. We'll be discussing the levels and the scenarios. First of all, the community. Mohammed, how are you doing, brother? Maud Fustan, good morning. Hello, Zach. Keith, much love to you. Long on Link, caught one. Absolutely phenomenal. Link is an absolute beast. Solana is doing very well. We can actually take a look at Solana as well later on the stream. I'm going to keep this stream short and sweet, but Solana, holy moly, guys. If this is not a contracting diagonal, okay, which would be a leading diagonal, and leading diagonals are not that common. If you do have a possibility to count multiple 1-2s instead of a contracting diagonal, the multiple 1-2s has priority. And a contracting diagonal, preferably, you do see an ending contracting diagonal. That means in a wave C or in a wave 5, okay? Not in a wave 1 or a wave A. So Solana looks like it wants to pop here, guys. It wants to have a significant pop. And I know a lot of people may see this as a ascending wedge, right? It's a bearish pennant, right? It's a bearish pennant. We should get the breakdown. I'm telling you that this has high probability in breaking up. It's just at the resistance, guys. We're getting those small little pullbacks. We mentioned this one yesterday. I'm not sure if anybody was paying attention here throughout yesterday. We didn't have a major pullback. I was confused here. I thought this would have been the pullback, but really looking at this as 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. Looks like it wants to pop, guys. Solana is looking very good. But anyway, we are here to mainly cover Bitcoin and Ethereum, the king and queen, if you wish, right? Or king and prince. Let's continue through the comment section. Then we'll go through the different possibilities and levels for the price of Bitcoin. Let's go. Keith, how are you doing, my man? I need $26 party at Andy's in Dubai. Yeah, absolutely. If you're in Dubai, let me know. I would be happy to meet with anybody, guys, from the community. Let's go right away. Say hello to the different legends here, okay? And then we'll discuss Bitcoin. Hello, what do you think, 𝗖𝗍𝘂𝗿? What do I think about what? About Bitcoin? We'll be going through that right away. Crypto Princess, much love to you. I opened a long on Link this morning. Justin, absolute legend. Absolute legend. What is Link doing? Let's have a quick look at Link. What's Link cooking? Ooh, getting a nice little pumpy action today. Nice little pumpy action. Nice little move up. Let's discuss Bitcoin, okay? Hello to everybody. Make sure to destroy the like button. If you do enjoy the stream, we'll be discussing the major levels and how the price could develop throughout the next coming hours and even coming days, right? Between today and tomorrow. We are coming into some very interesting resistance, all right? Then we'll go locally. I am mainly focused on what the heck's happened here on this bounce, right? We know all of this. We know this story, right? We do know the story right over here, which is, yeah, maybe this is a 1, this is a 2, this is another 1, this could be another 2, right? And then we find resistance here just at the 114K zone and we roll over. There is a lot here going on, guys. There is a lot going on. This is not going to be an easy push through, and you might get that breakout that seems legit, but you know the deal, right? You get that volatile move to the upside and then boop, right? And we'll be discussing a few of the scenarios. This zone becomes extremely interesting, right? Don't short the pump, they say. Well, we are going to figure that out, right? We're going to be discussing Elliott Wave theory and what are the amount of resistance zones that we do have here, which we are getting very close to. Now, what other scenarios do we have here? Mainly from the all-time high, right? Very, very choppy and overlappy scenario. We can discuss that this could be a 1-2, right? With your flat right over here, 1 and 2. And then this one, another 1 and 2. It is possible. And then roll over. I wouldn't be too bearish. This is Bitcoin. It is very, very bullish indeed. What I would be discussing here is a potential, okay, 3-wave structure to the downside in an ABC. And we are still forming, okay, the next scenario here in a potential WXY. So literally this would be A, B, C right over here, okay? In your wave W, and we are forming a much larger range potentially, okay? To then come back down and test the lows. I do think, guys, that we are going to revisit the lows here. I do strongly believe that we are going to revisit one more time, even though there is huge amount of liquidity up here. I'm not saying that we cannot go up there. I do expect the price to get up there, obviously, later on. But a lot of eyes on the liquidity here, right? The amount of liquidity that is sitting above 115, 116 is pretty insane, right? And it is a liquidity game. Lots of short liquidations here. So yeah, without a doubt, we are looking for that zone to be hit at some point. We have had a nice little move up today. Very, very nice indeed. But I am in doubt based on the analysis if this momentum to the upside will have enough power to get up there, guys. Okay, so we'll be discussing that right away and going through the levels. Okay, let's leave Elliott Wave theory alone for a moment, because I know a lot of people, you know, just don't want, you know, struggle to follow and see many scenarios and basically doesn't enjoy it, okay? I as well longed Link for like 50% gain, says Justin. Absolutely awesome. Mako, hit the like button, guys. Let's see how many likes we do have, because if we do get to 500 likes, we're throwing the house out the window today, guys. We're going to give $500 if we do get to 500 likes, okay? Just bang on the live stream. $500. Might scratch a little bit more from that Ethereum short, which, you know, I'm pretty happy with this short. Already took, you know, the movement down to the mid 4K levels was very much the first target zone from the double top here on Ethereum, right? Ethereum is bullish, right? Who the heck wants to short a bull market? Well, it was just very good double top right there. I do see a possibility on Ethereum to actually rollover from here. If Bitcoin does get the rollover, I know Ethereum is looking much more stronger than Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is king always, okay? So I'm just leaving that small position here, right? Well, not that small, but to give the chance to get that push down, see if we can make an extra 50K here on this movement down on Ethereum. But yeah, Ethereum is very, very bullish. We are expecting all-time high. I just would want to get the price down to the lows here so we can get into an epic long, right? And then finally just break all-time high. Get that short, extra profit, start looking for longs here. This would be awesome. Awesome for a swing. Not sure if we're going to get that, guys. We'll see. Anyway, discussing the levels on Bitcoin. What are the most important levels here, legends, for the price of Bitcoin? Well, we did come down. This is where we got the bounce rate, really, right? The value area high of this entire consolidation, right? Let's keep it nice and simple for the viewer, right? Explaining, right? Getting value, getting alpha, all right? We do have the value area high. That's what literally has been bouncing here a few days ago, right? Now, where do we have a lot of resistance? A lot of resistance, as 𝗖𝗿𝗆𝗿𝗃 says. We do have the value area low, right, of this entire consolidation. So yeah, we can see that high volume node already sitting here at 114.5. Not sure if we're going to manage to reach all the way up here, because we do have much more confluence, okay, you know, below that value area low. An interesting level is the anchored VWAP. We do have the anchored VWAP from all-time high, which is exactly sitting at the value area low of this entire trading zone. Now, this would be an extra push of $1,500 from current price levels, right? I'm not sure if we're going to reach there because we do have a lot of resistance below this zone, okay? But this would be the strongest resistance as we do take a look here at value area low and the anchored VWAP. Damn, I'm getting thirsty, too much talking. Right, so what other levels do we have here beneath this zone? Previous week close. That is an interesting level. That's almost the level that we tapped today, as you can see. And this zone becomes so interesting. It becomes so interesting, guys. We talk about this many, many times. Many times, how it is a reactional zone. We actually got one here on the lower time frame. For any but those 𝗬𝗙 scalpers out there, you know, it's what can we say? This is the meat and potatoes, guys. Okay, meat and potato zone to get into a long position, right? I'm not very interested in these small little movements. Okay, I'm leaving scalping a little bit on the sideline here, guys. Okay, but without a doubt, this would be a, you know, double top right there. Back to the lows. Nice short to the lows. Nice long with this bounce already happening, okay? I would take some profits. You know, this could definitely be the high. That's the issue here. That's the issue. Why could this be the high? Because as we can see from the lows of early this morning or yesterday night, if you wish, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? We have a bit of a 5-wave structure here. A little bit of a 5-wavy movement here, right? Which eventually could be the local top. So yeah, for all of those scalpers, it's a liquidity game, guys, right? If you consolidate like this, right, and you have a 1, 2, 3, nice long range for a 4th wave, very common indeed. Take out the high, swing failure pattern, sweep up the low from the major pump, right? From the major pump, the first higher low. I mean, this, guys, this is a great scalping strategy, okay? It is a very good scalping strategy. At some point, you are going to get the price action moving very aggressively. Let me know if you can see me here, right? You get the aggressive move up, and then you're going to form some kind of an order block, if you wish, or the first retracement. Whatever happens next, this zone is... You get the bounce here like 90% of the times. 90% of the times you get a bounce from the first higher low, in this case, of a major pump. Because you have a lot of inefficiency here. Eventually, if this doesn't hold, well, the dump would be pretty interesting, right? It would be a Bart Simpson pattern, as they say. So it's a very good zone to get into a scalp. Very, very good. Boom, enter, stop loss at the low, get your bounce, get your 2-to-1 risk reward as a scalper, and get the heck out, right? You've made your gains, right? If you're using a lot of leverage, a bit of, 2-3% of capital, nice little squeeze bounced. It's just a good trade. So, the conclusion that the main reason why I'm talking about this, okay, the main reason I'm talking about this strategy, right, which is very, very good, guys. It is very, very good. You could wait all day long just for this, just to get into a little scalp. Let's take a look. The main reason why I'm talking about this is the major dump that we had on Sunday, guys, right? What a massive, big flash crash that we had of, almost $5,000, right? It was around about $4,500, right? Of a drop. Very, very big flash crash. This is what becomes interesting, right? This level becomes, very nice. It's the same scenario that I've just explained, guys, but to the downside. This becomes a very interesting swing failure pattern level. The rejection is kind of almost guaranteed. However, will it be a few $100s or will it be a few $1,000s, right? As a rejection, right? Will it reject, form a higher low and break, or will it reject and boom, continue to the downside? It is a fantastic, fantastic level, okay? You know this, guys. If you're a legit follower and you're paying attention, this is a strategy. It's literally a strategy, okay? First, lower high or higher low after a major drop with big volume. Whatever happens next, it doesn't matter. Keep it in your trading book. Keep it, because if you are, if you're a sniper trader, if you reject from this level, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. You are going to get a reaction, even though if it is a movement down of a few $100s, right? You use a 50x, 100x leverage, right? 2%, 3%. If you move $400, $500 to the downside, you're making some gains, right? So that explanation comes after this, right? This is the same. Big move with high volume. Well, high volume, if you want to call this high volume, but yeah, it was one of the highest volume throughout the last 24 hours. Nice spike here. First higher low, guys. Whatever happens next here, it doesn't matter. This is almost a guaranteed reaction bounce. Okay? And we did get that bounce. It was about, $400, $500. It's nice, it's a nice little move where if you use high leverage, you can make some pretty nice gains. Get in very good here, protect position, leave 20%, 30% open, just in case you form a higher low. Very possible, very, very possible. So ultimately, let's go and zoom out here and go back to the levels that we were discussing. This area, in my opinion, if it is reached, it is a zone where it's going to get rejected heavily, in my opinion. We'll be discussing the different Elliott Wave scenarios that could be developed here in this zone. But lower high after a big major breakdown with high volume is a good level for a reaction swing failure pattern. Like 9 out of 10, guys. 9 out of 10 times. The question is, it might just pull back a little bit and then break through. That is possible. But the reaction is almost guaranteed, as it is a very good zone to put stop losses, right? It's a liquidity grab. Like, choop, fetch the liquidity and reject. In that level, that was literally that bounce that we had after the Sunday drop is where we closed last week. Last week we closed here. And let me know, a couple of days ago, guys, we were talking about a possible bounce of the previous week low. It was the resistance from Tuesday. And on Tuesday, we said, if we get up here, reclaim that proven level of resistance. How basic is this, guys? Looking at the candlesticks, right? You got the lows, right? Break down, resistance, resistance, resistance. It's just a goddamn resistance support flip, right? If you don't want to overcomplicate your analysis. Now, this is going to be an issue if we do not hit those lower highs. Okay? right now in the next coming hours, right? If we pull back from here, it's like, oh, you know, I missed the short. Unless you got into the double top today, you might think, oh, I missed the short position, right? I mean, this double top was very acceptable to get into the short. Don't get me wrong here. In the Legends Pro community, you know, we were discussing of creating another high. Okay, Devil went live also, private live stream with the community. And we were discussing this movement today. This movement right over here. Where, you know, this might not be the fifth wave, and we correct. We might consolidate in a longer, okay, period of time here, and then take out the high one more time, and then get the dump. So obviously looking for a double top, previous week close, the lower highs here from Sunday. Yeah, you know, it's kind of the zone of interest, because you know that a big correction down is very likely going to happen here. So it was like, yeah, the last leg up here of today to get that pullback. Yeah, there was better levels to the upside, don't get me wrong. But we did form a double top, local double top. And this local double top eventually, when you get the start of this correction, I mean, it's pretty beautiful textbook Elliott Wave theory, right? Pretty nice 5-wave move to the upside, right? Not a bad idea to start looking for shorts after claiming the high. Swing failure pattern of the high, previous week close, right? Not a bad idea. Anyway, let's go talk about, now we need to talk about Elliott Wave theory. You know, what scenarios do we have with this pump, okay, from the low? Because I am interested in what the heck is going on here, guys. You know, I know the different scenarios that could happen from this movement down, right? But now I'm interested in what is going on here, and we'll go step by step so you can actually understand how the price structure is developing. And it is not looking good to break out successfully from this zone, guys. There is one scenario. It doesn't look too great though. This was discussed early this morning in the Legends Pro community, sending screenshots and looking at different scenarios, okay? And we were discussing here that it doesn't look too great for a multiple 1-2. And there was a main reason why. You got a wave here in the middle that doesn't look too powerful. It looks very corrective, which will come to the conclusion on how the price could develop, guys. Okay, just to so you are aware of where the best trades could happen for a bigger swing, right, on the higher time frame. So this green box right over here becomes a crucial zone that the price is likely going to struggle, guys. And I do see the price not breaking successfully 112, 115. We're going to give it a little bit more of a room right there. Okay, not only the previous week close, this is why we created a box where this becomes a rejection zone. It becomes a rejection zone of a few $1,000s and potentially even lower to claim 108.7. We'll be going through the waves, right? Most importantly, right? Because the price moves in waves and we need to try and identify what kind of waves could develop, right? Because it's very good indeed to talk about the resistance and the support. But when you analyze the waves, you can really project the timing, how far can you go, right? And where you can reject based on Fibonacci extensions. This is what we're going to cover right away in the next coming minutes, guys. Okay, so make sure to stay tuned, smash up that like button. Let me know if you did get into a long position on Tuesday. It was Wednesday actually, but Tuesday was the stream. Backtest the previous week low, guys. Very nice bounce that we had from the previous week low. I know some people did get into the long because they confirmed on yesterday's stream. So, hey Andy, it's Edward, part of the community French-based in Dubai. Check WIF is about to pump hard. We can take a look at WIF later on. Let me just cover Bitcoin and a little bit of Ethereum if possible. But WIF, Dogwifhat. Ooh. Oh, I mean, yeah, this without a doubt is, you know, eventually Dogwifhat was one of the most loved meme coins back in 2024, right? And I think it's a legend of a meme coin, right? This ain't gonna go anywhere. We know when there's altcoin season, guys, meme coins are actually one of the first ones to, pump, and they have aggressive pumps, right? It happens every time when there's a little altcoin season, right? Meme coins take the lead. I don't know what they do, but they always take the lead in the goddamn little meme coin season, right? Altcoin season. The altcoin season that we had in late 2024, because there was one, guys, okay? And also in March, right? When we do take a look at the altcoin season index, we can see that we had, right, that nice little altcoin season throughout late of 2024. These meme coins usually, perform very well. When you do take a look at the altcoin season from the lows to the highs, 200 and about a 3x, 4x almost from the lows. And we are expecting a altcoin season, guys. How many people are waiting for an altcoin season, right? This does look pretty damn good. The main reason why is because this pump that we had from the lows of April of 2025 this year, and I'm sorry, guys, I need to take a look at Bitcoin. I'm getting distracted here with the comment section, but this is a very, very strong impulsive move without a doubt. And you know what's very interesting is that this move to the upside almost took out the high. So yeah, someone in the comment section saying, look at 𝗬𝗏, it's gonna explode. You're very damn right. Very impulsive move, corrective structure. This move up, almost taking out the high, hitting the 0.88 Fibonacci. Yeah, bring it on. Low probability that this is going to break down successfully from here. If it were to revisit the lows, I'm not sure if anyone would, is in swing longs already from here, but you don't need to use much leverage. Maybe use a 3x leverage, 4x leverage, cross margin, have some ready to add if we take out this low, because there's high probability that Dogwifhat is going to take out $1.40 in the very near future. Whatever happens here, guys, regardless if it's, this is the wedgie structure, if it is a sideways WXY, which is very much possibly the scenario that what we're looking at here. Because if you move in a corrective move down here, you hit the 0.88, you're likely forming a sideways corrective structure, and there's low probability that you could take out this low already. So, and we are literally at the 7/8 Fibonacci from this pivot low to the pivot high. So yeah, high probability that Dogwifhat gets to $1.40, guys. So I'm not sure if you want to buy on spot or position yourself, or don't listen to me, because I am not a financial advisor. I'm just a crazy guy, looking at the different possibilities and probabilities. But I can tell you already there's extreme high probability that Dogwifhat takes out $1.40, okay? Extreme high probability, right? We ain't talking about, it's highly likely. It's like extreme high probability, 80% probability that you do not break down successfully from this low. There's actually lower probability that you even visit this low at 65 cents. And the main reason why is because of this bounce that we had from the impulse correction. If you have a bounce that takes out the 0.88 Fibonacci, whatever happens next is likely sideways momentum, just ready to take out the highs here. So you can trade this, maybe, I'm not sure what is your strategy here, but, just be ready in case you test the lows. I mean, if we do test the lows here, I would go in very heavily, if I'm honest with you. But there is a high chance that we do not visit these lows. And this is a good zone to bounce already. Let's take a look here. Dogwifhat on another one. Sorry, I got distracted with this, but I'm happy to actually even buy some of this on spot, guys. Meme coins, if you want to make money in an altcoin season, meme coins lead the way, especially good ones. And we are considering Dogwifhat a good meme coin, right? There's a lot of garbage out there, very risky ones eventually. But Dogwifhat is one of the, top 10 coins, right? I'm not sure if it's in the top 10 or maybe top 20 of meme coins. It's a legit one, and the structure looks incredible, guys. Incredible. High probability we're going to take out before the end of the year, very likely, guys. $1.40. I mean, just buying on spot at the zone, you know, you're almost making 100% gain. You're almost 2xing your money here. Regardless if you do get a little shakeout, if you don't want to use a bit of leverage, you know, and you get a little bit of a shaky out zone, there's a high chance. Just remember to get out once you know, almost double your money here. Just remember to get out as you break through. If the breakthrough is explosive, then happy days, right? Happy days. Let's just continue with a moon bag. But I like it. Thank you very much for pointing this out, my man. I'm not sure who this was, but yeah, these are the kind of coins that I like. Are we still bullish? These are the kind of coins that I do like to see, guys. Especially meme coins. You know, if they're high cap meme coins, legit meme coins. Oof. This is looking so damn sexy. It is looking very good. Just squeezing here in this correction. This correction will reverse at some point. Will reverse at some point. Just like this one reversed. And when you're coming from a major impulse and you have not taken out the high by, you know, just a little bit, this is not bearish. This is not looking for a bearish breakdown. This is going to reverse at some stage and take out those highs. Okay, so high probability. Anyway, let's move back to Bitcoin. Okay, we ain't gonna go too fussy here with levels and rest of it. Yeah, just at the value area low where we have the high volume. Woo! This is like really looking to reaccumulate in this area. I'm even considering getting into a swing long on this with low leverage, cross margin. It's yeah, I'm going to save this one without a doubt. Anyway, let's go through Bitcoin. We mainly discuss Bitcoin and a bit of Ethereum. I'm not sure who this was that was asking about with Dogwifhat, but it's looking very damn good. 𝗬cie𝗂𝗿 mother here in the comment section, much love. I got into the long a bit late, so I just TP most of my position. 𝗬cie𝗂𝗿, I'm not sure which trader is that on, maybe Bitcoin. Andy, thoughts looking at your BTC/TA? You said it could likely visit 108 region again. Wouldn't coin like with go down to retest 60 cent region? Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Without a doubt, it could revisit this low if Bitcoin gets a major dump, right? I think Ethereum probably is going to hold stronger. But there's always that phase in the crypto bull run where Bitcoin could dump $4,000 or $5,000 and the altcoins, you know, some of them don't take that much of a hit as the Bitcoin dominance goes down. I'm not sure. Let's take a look at the Sunday dump here. Yeah, this was literally it, right? Yeah, the Sunday dump that we had on Bitcoin was not that aggressive. On WIF, look at this. This was the pump that we had on Friday. We did come down to the lows in the end, but this was just on Monday. But Sunday's drop of Bitcoin of $4,000 was this one right over here. You would have thought in the, last year maybe, right, when Bitcoin dominance was still very strong, if the Bitcoin dominance, if Bitcoin got a major drop of $4,000 or $5,000, you would expect many altcoins to get, destroyed. And when you compare that drop of Sunday on Bitcoin that took out the lows of Friday, this was the dump on WIF. So it wasn't that bad. Anyway, just I would expect eventually them to correct a bit more. But I think we are in that kind of moment in the bull market where, look at Ethereum. Ethereum, look at the drop of Sunday on Ethereum. It was literally this little drop right over here. So it's the moment where the high cap coins and some altcoins do survive much better the drops of Bitcoin. Ethereum currently for the last few weeks has been stronger, okay, against the Bitcoin volatile moves to the downside. I mean, we cannot deny that. This was the pump on Friday, and the dump of Sunday was this. And when you take a look at Bitcoin, well, it was another story. It was another story. It actually, on Sunday, already took out the lows of Friday's pump. And look at Ethereum. I mean, it didn't even get into a quarter of the pump of Friday with the Sunday dump, right? So we are in that kind of stage in the bull run where we are going to see that money flow. And, I think the high cap coins and, maybe some other altcoins as well are going to survive a little bit better the drops on Bitcoin. So anyway, that's just, a little theory right over there that I wanted to point out. Doesn't mean it's going to be have a massive shield against the drop. It will drop eventually. But maybe not as aggressive as we've had in the last few years, as the Bitcoin dominance was very, very strong and uptrending, right? If Bitcoin dropped 5%, you eventually expect altcoins to drop 10 to 20%, right? Very aggressively. So anyway, let's continue here through only 137 likes. Yes, I know. I suck at like button. But who cares? Who cares? I'm not going to care anymore, guys. If we get to 500 likes, I'm just going to give $500 to a random guy in the comment section, right? How about that? Not even for free money, guys. We do get likes. It's insane. Welcome to the new era. Let's go through Bitcoin, guys, because what is interesting about Bitcoin, the amount of resistance that we do have, okay, you have your trading plan. I'm not sure what is your trading plan, but without a doubt, we do have the anchored VWAP from all-time high. We do have the value area low of this entire range from July and August, which is sitting at 114.4K, 114.5K if you wish, together with the anchored VWAP. Very, very interesting level. So in this box, what I do like to see is you either swing failure pattern from here, or you break through and you move to the upside and you swing failure pattern from this lower high right over here, the start of the drop of Sunday. Those lower highs for the liquidity grab, just slightly below 115K. If the price trades in between these two zones, these two pivots, this one and this one, I am not interested in being in the short here. If we are above the zone, I'm not interested in being in the short. I need the rejection so I can have good risk management. Then it might correct significantly. But if we break above and we maintain above the lows and the previous week close, I do not want to be in a short position in this area. Why would I be in a short if we are maintaining above the previous week close and those lows, those lower highs? Yeah, you could reject later, but I would be interested in getting into the short later on the proof of weakness. So if we do maintain above this level, and these are bigger swings, guys. We ain't talking scalping here. If we maintain above this area, then the next big major level, which is pretty obvious, anchored VWAP from all-time high with the value area low of the zone between July and August, and the start of the dump lower highs of Sunday, guys. Ooh, this is going to be an epic level, guys. An epic level if we do get up there for a rejection. I'm not sure if we're going to get up there, guys. And there's one reason why. This structure does not look too bullish. I am leaning that all of this is some kind of a corrective structure that we are going to identify here together, okay? From scratch, from zero. The only bullish scenario that we do have here is multiple 1-2, and it's not looking good. Multiple 1-2, eventually you look for the breakout in a third wave. Very explosive. Not looking good, guys. Low probability in this scenario, and it all has to do with one of the 1-2s that we have. Not looking good. Looks very corrective. So when we do, we're just going to zoom in on that. We're going to do a little bit of Elliott Wave theory eventually, just to try and, figure out how the price could move in these waves. But we do know our resistance levels, right? Previous week close with the lower high of Sunday. And this is actually a pretty awesome level as well when we consider Fibonacci. When we do take a look at the last lower high and even the high of all-time high, let's take a look at Fibonacci. From the highs of Friday to the lows that we formed a few days ago, golden pocket is slightly above those lower highs, right? It's kind of a perfect zone to actually get that swing failure pattern just at the 114k levels. It looks interesting without a doubt to get a reaction and a pullback. Golden pocket slightly above those lower highs from this pivot high of Friday to the pivot low. There's a lot going on here, guys. There's a lot going on. It's not going to be an easy nut to crack, to fly through here, right? I'm not expecting a follow-through breakout here. All of this is going to be choppy and it's going to be rejecty. Okay? There's a lot going on here. A lot going on. And to make that even better with confidence that we should not be breaking out is understanding this uptrend structure. Understanding this uptrend structure is crucial to see if there is high probability in smashing all of this resistance. And when we talk about smash, we talk about moving up to 116k, right? Get a big breakout. And that's why Elliott Wave theory gives you that edge to understand what are the probabilities in actually breaking through here, this huge amount of cluster of resistance, right? And actually getting rejected. Well, we're going to be talking about that right away. Okay, so let's just take some levels off the charts, clean it up a little bit. Bitcoin getting a nice little bounce from that swing. Oh, we created another double bottom here. We did create another local double bottom from those lows. Yeah, if we do bouncing from this level, take out, get an extra pump, guys, I would possibly enter a short position because this is not a very, very powerful pullback. I would still think that we could be inside of the wave 4 here, forming a flat, and now your wave 5 maybe is developing. So you got that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get a bit of an extension wave 5 here. Ooh, looking very good. This is not a proper pullback. When you get a massive rally, you want big correction. Big correction. This small little correction to get follow through. Yeah. Low probability to get follow through here very, very aggressively. Yeah, we can hit 114k and all of that, but I wouldn't expect massive follow through. Get exhausted to then get roll over. Because this pullback is very, very shallow. For a wave 2, if we're considering the multiple 1-2 setup here, we just basically tap the 236 Fibonacci, very, very shallow for a multiple 1-2. So why does a multiple 1-2 for the moment with the information that we have low probability, has low probability 1-2 1-2 1-2 1 and 2, and then fly to the moon in a wave 3 to then eventually have your 4-5 4-5, right? You continue that impulsive move. The main reason why is this movement right over here. And we had a little discussion this morning in the Legends Pro community about this wave, which it does not look very nice for an impulse. It's very pump, consolidation, pump, and then that's it, lower high here. So it's very three wavy. When you have a three wave move up that takes out a high, you always consider that it is part still of the correction of a range. Instead of counting it as an impulsive move, you still think that this is part of the correction from this zone right over here, and then this zone right over here. So obviously we can see here that this has formed a little bit of a three wave move, sideways momentum. So we come to the conclusion, right, just with some Picasso drawing, that you do have a three wave move up. This doesn't look too good for an impulse, so we're going to pack it in here inside of a larger correction. And now you have this movement to the upside that does look pretty nice as an impulse. Okay, you can even count the finish of the impulse here. You can still count this as a wave 4, still very possible, and that you get a wave 5. But it's looking good regardless if your end is here or you create one more high and then you correct down. This is looking good for an impulse. High could be in actually for this. This is why this double top would have been interesting to get into the short. I mean, yeah, right now, you know, coming up to kind of back test the level. I would zoom in, but we're not going to zoom in. We're just going to go with a continuation of this scenario. So we have a zigzag move up. We don't like this as an impulse. So we pack it in here for this to be a larger corrective structure in a three waver, WXY sideways corrective move. So what we're looking at here is a wave W in your zigzag, your wave X right over here. And now we have our first leg up. We have one leg that's an impulse, right? So you would say that you have your A wave right over here. Finished or not finished, might create another high, might, you know, squeeze in a contracting diagonal. It's very possible. But ultimately, you know, the highest probability would be looking for a pullback in this area. Taking out the highs again and pumping to 114K or not. The probabilities here to get a steep movement down to the 111K zone, at least would be, would be highly likely. So we are looking for a rejection here, taking out 114K or not. What becomes more interesting discussing this, right, is that we need one more wave to the upside. We need one more push, considering ABC, double zigzag to then finish your Y, right? W zigzag, X, sideways corrective structure, and then ABC movement to the upside to finish your Y wave. And that would be absolutely perfect, because eventually after this, you would expect a steep pullback down. So yeah, it looks like that we need a little bit of more information here. I don't like the multiple 1-2. This is the scenario that looks more interesting eventually. And when we do take a look at the target zones, most commonly of a double zigzag, you know, most commonly you do want to see the 1-to-1 to the 1-2-3-6 hit. 1-to-1 is at 114.2. And 1-2-3-6 is 115.1. You know, the interesting thing about these two levels is it is exactly where we have the anchored VWAP from all-time high. It is just in between the 1-to-1 and the 1-2-3-6 extension. Coincidence? I think not. It is also the value area low of this entire range. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. That's kind of interesting, right? How the waves could develop here in the next couple of days. It's pretty interesting, right? This momentum to the upside does not look too bullish, guys. I have to say, it looks very, very corrective. We could take out the highs again and hit 114K and maybe 115K, but the probabilities in smashing through here and get to 116, 117K are actually pretty low based on how we've come up here in the last few days. And there is always one little sign on the chart which, you know, you need to identify, right? you need to identify the weakness. There's always weakness points when you consider both scenarios. You always need to have a bullish case and a bearish case. So I understand that we could break out aggressively here in a wave 3, and then I would have to come on YouTube tomorrow and say, guys, you know, I was wrong about the high probability scenario. Okay, I'm sorry. But there's always weak points, and this is a very weak point on the chart. Very, very weak. Which is making this very likely a corrective structure. And you might think, well, why not this a 1-2 and this is another 1-2 right there? I mean, this would be possible. This would be definitely possible instead of considering this a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, right? And then you know, really 1-2 and you smash through in a wave 3 here. This doesn't look good because this is a 3-wave movie up to the upside. So we're not liking it. We prefer to pack it in here with this being an entire correction in a 3-wave sideways WXY. Well, why not this 1-2 and 1-2? I mean, if we're looking at possibilities, it is possible. However, your second 1-2s, third 1-2s, you prefer to be them smaller in time and price action, okay? Your wave 2 here, if we're considering this sideways corrective move as your second wave 2, that's your first one here. It's pretty much more aggressive than your second 1-2, right? Than your first 1-2. This is a much bigger block. And that's uncommon. You want your second 1-2s to be smaller, right? And then get this smash out later on. You don't want your second one, right, being extremely big, because eventually this is your higher time frame first 1 and 2 that you need to finish off later on with 4-5, 4-5s, right? So it wouldn't make too much sense for this to be the second 1 and 2. So with that, eventually, taking that into consideration, there's low probability here for a big breakout. And there is a huge cluster of resistance as explained. So I'm looking at a few scenarios. You pump today, you do take out the previous week close and those lower highs of Sunday, and you do get the rejection that we are looking to correct down, very likely to at least the 382 Fibonacci and most possibly to the golden pocket zone. And then this could be a zone that would be very interesting. If you move down very correctively, 3-wave structure, boom, you start getting overlaps, then you're looking for this high to be taken again, which comes to that theory of the WXY where you have this zigzag, okay, in your wave W. Sideways momentum, we don't like this pump as an impulse. We don't like it as a 5-waver, so we are packing it in here in this sideways corrective move for your wave X. And eventually we do have an impulsive move today, which is very 1-wavy. So you're like missing 2 more waves here. You're missing 2 more waves. Then we go down. So it's a very, very interesting area, guys. Okay, very interesting area. Low probability, in my personal opinion, that we will smash through 114, 115K. And this is the zone of rejection for the next coming days, in my personal opinion. It can get choppy, it can get wicky. You need to look at the lower time frames, really analyze the waves. But, you know, I think there's a high chance that we will not break through this zone and we will correct down to the low 110K levels, okay, at a bare minimum after this, you know, uptrend is finished. High probability not breaking out from this box zone as explained. Low probability smash out to 116, 117. High probability this zone becomes difficult to break and you're going to struggle. And high probability that this will look for a movement down to the low 110k levels at least, then with the possibility of coming down to the low of 108 later on throughout the next coming days. So yeah, that's a little bit it. Okay, sorry about the drawing, but I hope that you understood the amount of resistance. You understood how this momentum to the upside looks more corrective than impulsive. It looks more corrective than impulsive, which you eventually look at it to finish at some point here in this zone at 114, 113, 115 zone, right? Where we have all of the packed resistance, anchored VWAP, value area low of this entire trading zone. We got Fibonacci, golden pocket from the last pivot high here of Friday, lower high, golden pocket zone. Let's take a look at Fibonacci from all-time high to the pivot low. We might have another Fibonacci confluence. Yeah, there we go. We got 382 Fibonacci from the highs to the lows, sitting at the value area low and the anchored VWAP as well. So if you want to add a bit of Fibonacci confluence, 114.7k is where you have that big cluster. That would actually be nice if you do pump here, you swing failure pattern from the lower highs of Sunday, and then you get one more leg up here throughout, you know, potentially, I'm not sure if it will be the weekend or not. You could get that volatile move and then get the larger pullback down later on. According to the levels and the waves, this is how the price could definitely move throughout the next coming days. You could fail to break that lower high. Okay, the previous week close, attempt to break it but fail to do so, get the larger pullback to 111k zone, form a corrective structure, get one more pump up, and this is the pump that fails. That would be the next pump to fail here, to then get that larger pullback to the low 110k levels, if not taking out even the lows here at 108.7. All of this, I mean, yeah, we do not know if it's going to be bearish. There is the 1-2-1-2 setup here that could break down, but we are leaning that this is potentially going to be a larger corrective structure. Yeah, I think we're possibly going to form, maybe we form a flat here where it's just boom, boom, boom. But we're looking at this as a zigzag, and we are still very busy with your wave X. So we're looking at this to be a W in a zigzag structure. And right now we only got the first wave here. I mean, this could be the wave X without a doubt. Maybe develops throughout the next coming days, struggling here at 114, 115k. Maybe this could be the wave X for sure. Anyway, that's a little bit on how the price does look very likely to move throughout the next coming days. Ultimately looking for a little bit more of a larger correction. And it all has to do with Elliott Wave, but also the amount of resistance that we do have here. Previous week close, value area low, anchored VWAP. We're getting some Fibonacci's. You got the golden pocket for the first reaction of the Friday highs. You also have the all-time high Fibonacci 382, which is sitting at the 114.7k zone, where we have all of that cluster. That's where you have this high volume node, value area low. It is a zone of rejection without a doubt. Okay, so you take that with a pinch of salt, guys, and trade it as you wish. But that's what we do have here on Bitcoin. I see low probability of the price breaking through successfully, you know, to claim all of that liquidity. I love liquidity, guys. I am very much aware that this liquidity, we want to grab that massive amount of liquidity, but we don't need to catch it tomorrow, right, or today, and we can correct down a little bit to then go and hit it later on. So that's how I think the price could develop here. We got the levels of resistance in the Legends Pro and the analysis channel. I am still waiting for the best shot here where I'm going to get into my trades, guys. If you are interested in joining the exclusive Telegram, it's very easy to join. You just need to join the Telegram down below. It's the first link. And if you sign up with one of the links down below, either 𝗏𝗏𝗏 or 𝗬𝗏𝗃𝗍, you will get access, okay, with a minimum deposit to enter my exclusive channel where I'm sharing the Bitcoin trade, Ethereum trade. My latest one was the one from the weekend of Ethereum, which is still doing pretty damn okay. This actually has the potential to be a 6-figure trade. I am, because if we do go down to the low 40K levels, low 4K levels, it will be, it will be a 60K profit extra. So it can turn into a 6-figure trade. Let's see. If not stopped out at break even, so be it. But this trade was given inside of the exclusive Telegram. If you want to join, easy peasy to join, guys. Just sign up with the link down below. 𝗏𝗏𝗏, 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗽. They got great deals. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 has 10% cashback on your initial deposit. VIP levels, depending on what you deposit, to decrease your fees. Very important. And 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗽 also is an awesome platform, okay? 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗽, works absolutely phenomenal, and you do get all of these perks airdrop. So choose an exchange, join the Telegram, and we'll hop you into the exclusive Telegram, okay, where I'm sharing my trading setups. Basically, I'm still only in this one right over here, but what can we say? This was from the weekend. I am looking for the next bigger move based on a few scenarios that I've discussed here on YouTube. So waiting patiently, guys. We like to be very selective with our trades. Doesn't mean the more you trade, the more you're going to win, guys. The more you trade, the more probabilities you have in losing. So be very selective with your trading setups. Legends, let's go through the comment section, see who's in the game here. Sim Games can still be a 1-2 combo now after 4. We expect another third wave up. Can be a 1-2 combo. Now after 4, we expect another 3 wave up. For the price of Bitcoin on the lower time frame, I don't think that is the case. This does look very much corrective, okay? And this is the thing. It might look like it's building up here, an explosive breakout, but there's a few reasons why there is low probability. If you're considering this your second, third 1-2, you moved up very 3-wavy. So we're packing that movement inside of all of this being correction. And if you consider this a 1-2 and this a 1-2, your second 1-2 is extremely longer from your first 1-2, okay? Well, not extremely, I have to say. It's not that bad. But, yeah, I mean, if we consider this the high and this is a sideways corrective structure, I mean, well, it's over 4 times longer. You don't want to see that for a second 1-2, that's for sure. Solana is looking, I mean, Solana, I think Solana might have its own life, okay? Solana has the potential to have its own life for a few days, despite whatever Bitcoin or Ethereum does. Because Solana looks insane. This has insane potential to be a multiple 1-2. This is the one that could really snap out from here and pump, 50%. Okay, because this is what you want to see on the multiple 1-2s. Big 1 and 2. Second 1-2 is not that big, as you can see. Third 1-2, even smaller. Fourth, even smaller. Poof. This has the potential to absolutely explode out. And I mean, a lot of people would say that this is a ascending wedge, bearish pennant, but this is not a greater zone to long, guys. You want to long the pullbacks when you're forming multiple 1-2s. There is eventually the risk of not it breaking out, but this one does have a good chance now to pop out. And people will be like, what's happened to Solana? What's happened? Bitcoin and Ethereum are stuck, but Solana's flying. Well, the structure is just getting ready for the pop out here. And this is not the case for Bitcoin. The structure for Bitcoin is not having this one right over here. Very unsymmetrical if you're considering multiple 1-2. If you're taking this as a 1-2, it's much larger than your second one. If you're looking at, hang on a minute, the music stopped here, guys, and we cannot stop. We need some music. There's no music. No bueno. And this for a 1-2, you know, this would have been better. They're not that big compared to the previous ones, but there is a problem here with this, you know, third 1 and 2. It's very 3-wavy. Looking at this to be some kind of a corrective structure, and for the moment, a zigzag up sideways in a wave X, WXY, and a possible 3-wave move. The low could be in here, and you do actually get a little pop, but then you reject. Okay, despite if you do correct here and then pop up, or this was the correction, which, you know, would be very shallow, but it's acceptable. And then you get this leg up. Well, instead of correcting down and move up, this was your correction, and you move up here, you get people excited, and then either at this lower high, or most bullish case scenario, you come all the way up to the start of the dump of Sunday, which is even better because that's where you do have some liquidity, to be honest. Yeah, almost getting to 115k, 114.5. Even better, where you have the anchored VWAP and the value area low of the entire zone of July and August. Kind of the sweet spot, which is actually the major target zone of a double zigzag. 1-to-1 extension. Most bullish case 1236 at 115.2. I wouldn't think we would reach there, but who knows? Maybe this would be it. Maybe this would be it. So the overall idea here is either pump from here, this has been the correction, or correct down and then pump, and ultimately looking for this leg down later on throughout the next coming days. That's I do strongly believe that is what is very, very likely here, purely based on this structure. This does not look very bullish, guys. It does not look very bullish. So let's take that with a pinch of salt. Eventually, you know, it wouldn't be the first time that I'm wrong and I wake up tomorrow morning and we're trading out at 118k. But, you know, we never can be 100% right, guys. It's just looking at the waves and understanding the levels of resistance and really, you know, coming to the conclusion that there is lower probability in breaking out successfully from this zone. There's low probability based on the movement up that we've had in the last few days. So anyway, you might think that is a bunch of BS. There's so much liquidity sitting in this zone at 120k. Yeah, I mean, it is a liquidity game at the end of the day. And there is a lot of liquidity to the upside. We can see that. Holy moly, there's an insane amount of liquidity up there. So you might think there's no reason to dip down. There's just no liquidity beneath us. There's not very much, right? Why would we want to dump down? We can dump and then pump later, right? Anyway. Coincidence? I think not, says Baby Genius. Yes, coincidence? I think not, right? When we do take a look at the confluence and the extension of the double zigzag, right? It's just exactly where we have the value area low, the anchored VWAP. We do have a lot going on. We do have a lot going on there. A lot going on in this zone. Mucho confluence. Let's take a look here at the comment section right away. Lol, Bitcoin will tap the extreme supply or take the high one way or another. Market makers need exit liquidity, says Nathan. It can come down and take the current low beforehand, but data supports a move higher here. Yeah, what data? What data? Liquidity? The M2 global liquidity? Guys, you must have been tired of watching all of this. I know every single crypto tuber out there, and X, especially X, guys, you must have had nightmares about the M2 global money supply and Bitcoin lagging behind, and it's just going to follow and go ahead and hit $200,000, right, in the next coming weeks. I do see Bitcoin hitting all-time high, but it's not going to be a straight line, okay? And we're having these diversions right now, and, you know, that's, you know, people that have been talking about this for weeks, need to start coming with a little bit of explanations, right? What's going on? Bitcoin's not following right now, even though it did follow in 24 and part of 25. What's going on? Right? So, yeah, apparently we're not following it at the moment for the last couple of weeks. Hey, Andy, how are you doing? Please, can you take a look at ARB? Let's take a look at ARB. Why not? What's going on with ARB? Is it looking juicy? Arbitrum. Wow, I mean, we are still quite low. I don't like it too much, if I'm honest with you here. I don't like this pump that we had. Unless you're looking at an expanding diagonal here. I don't like it too much. For this to be an impulse and you're correcting down, almost taking out the low here. This is not the best way to start an impulsive move. We are holding as support the last few days. Losing this value area high that has been proven to be resistance and support, okay, the last few days, would not be a good sign in the short term. So, yeah. Anyway, not much more to talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum. Let's see how the price evolves throughout the next coming days, guys. I need to go because I am picking up my brother from the airport here. And yeah, I need to go. I need to go, legends. Much love to everybody. We've discussed Bitcoin mainly. Bitcoin is what we can see here with the different levels and scenarios. Not much to discuss. In the pro community, there is a lot of activity, okay? Legends pro community, lot of activity. Talked about in here, all right? Where we're discussing with the coaches many different scenarios, okay? And if you want more, you have the Legends Pro guys, all right? To get more information, first link, join the Telegram, and we can provide you that information to be a legend. Thank you very much for joining, okay? I will see you tomorrow, very likely. Aero dumping. Yes, very possible. Much love to everybody in the comment section and smashing up that like button, okay? You're absolute legends. Ethereum, there's not much really to discuss on Ethereum. Ethereum does have a chance to form a double zigzag here. Zigzag down, correction. If it forms a lower high here, oh, holy moly, it's going to be good. It's going to be good because I'm short. I hope that we do roll over a little bit longer. And it does make sense to do so on the higher time frame. A little bit more of a corrective structure on Ethereum, guys, would be ideal. And if we take out the highs, it won't break out successfully. We need a larger range, a bit of a shakeout scenario, and then take out all-time high, in my opinion. So if we do take out all-time high, there will be a decent correction happening at some point. Thank you, legends. Much love to everybody, and I will see you tomorrow.